material is called chainmail. It's a large number of these tiny little interlocking rings, and it's made from electric fence wire. I'm going to show you how to make this. What's needed is a lot of time and patience, and that's to make even a small amount like this. So firstly, 2 clamps, that's what's needed for that. Pliers, 2 sets are good. You need 1 for each hand. Bolt cutters, these are for actually cutting the electric fence wire. Files for filing rough edges, which are pretty rare, but it's good to have those just in case. Locking pliers that are adjusted to the right size, and I'll show you how to do that. Then a 5/16 inch metal rod that has a hole drilled in it. The length is actually pretty unimportant. It can be as long as or short as needed. I like this size because it gives pretty good sized coils that aren't too difficult to deal with. Next thing that's needed is a block of wood like this that's been cut into 3 pieces. It needs a hole at each end, and preferably no sticky notes on it. One hole needs to only be partially drilled, so you want it to stop at some point so it doesn't go all the way through, as you can see there. The other hole does need to go all the way through, and that is so that the rod can be pushed through and turned. So the end of the rod that has the hole gets pushed through here and will lock into the end that only has a partial hole. And the whole point of the hole at the end is so that the electric fence wire can be fed into there and then rolled up to make a large spool. The locking pliers are for locking onto the end of the pipe. You want it to be very tight, so that's going to give the best results. And this serves as a crank, so you can turn this to spin the thing. If you have a drill that actually fits this, which I don't, and most people don't, then you can use that, but if not, it's hand cranking. The last thing that's needed is a spool of 14 gauge galvanized steel electric fence wire. The half-mile roll is cheaper per the amount that you're getting, so this is $30. The half-mile one is $50, so you're getting slightly more. However, it's rather large and heavy and hard to carry around. This one, when it's full, is already pretty difficult, and this will definitely make you a whole suit's worth, and should be plenty. The device with the rod and the wood needs to be clamped to a table so that it can be cranked and not fall off. It needs to be at the corner of the table so that the crank can be turned and not cause it to go flying or anything like that, or catch on the edge of the table. So just like this is perfect, and then it can be clamped down here and here. The further apart the clamps are and closer to these blocks, the easier it'll be. Next step is to set up the wire so it is up against something that can spin and allow it to turn but not roll away. And then the wire needs to be fed through the hole on the rod. And then once it's just barely poking out the other side of the hole, it needs to be put through this hole. It needs to be rotated upwards so that it doesn't catch on the clamp, and then put through there like that. Then the rod is just simply turned by hand or the drill, depending on what you have, until you have a spool that covers the whole length of this. You want to leave a little gap at the end so that you can actually remove it. And I will show you the end product because it takes a while to wind up the whole spool. Once it's spooled up about this far, it's about time to remove it. If you find it's getting stuck in the hole and making it hard to spin, it helps to leave a little excess at the end when you first do the first winding, and that will give it something to push up against on the wood so that it doesn't get lodged in there. I forgot to do that, but so that's why it's stuck in there. Gloves are a good idea when feeding the wire so you don't get residue from the wire all over you. The next step is to cut this with the electric fence wires right here, and then at the other end where it's connected to the hole, and then the whole rod can be slid off. Do stand back when you do this, or turn so that this thing won't hit you, because it will go flying when it gets cut, like that. And then this can be slid off, and then right about where it was connected, so it's going to be right there where it goes into that hole. That's where it's cut next. From here, the coil can just be slid off the rod. The rod can even be pulled out the other end like this, and then this can just be pulled off. And then you're left with this thing. and then it's cutting it straight down the line to get the individual links. Once a spool has been made, it needs to be cut out with these small bolt cutters, or what are they called? Yeah, bolt cutters is what they're called. Anyways, this little bit at the end from the winding needs to be cut off, so that's just cut off like this. And then you cut straight down the line. I like to do 3 or 4 at a time, depending on how it'll go. So there's 4, and then you just keep cutting straight down the line. It takes quite a while. After quite a few of those things have been cut up, you'll have about this many. This is maybe 2 or 3 of those spools worth, and you're done with the bolt cutters at this point. The next step is to make links of 2 varieties, or 3. You're going to need some that are like this, to where they're open. To make those just by simply grabbing one. As you can see, it's not quite perfectly lined up there. The point is to grab it with pliers here. 1 plier on each half of it, like this, and then you twist, so you turn the pliers to open it up. And you want it opened about that far, so you're turning the pliers when you're working it. If the pieces are far apart, you can actually push in or out with the pliers, depending on what you need while you're twisting, and that helps. So we'll do that again, clamp it there, clamp it there, twist out, and there we go. So you're going to make quite a few of those. I have a big thing full of them. Then you also need to make a lot that are perfectly lined up. So that means grabbing it and going the opposite direction. That's bending this way. You've got to go back and forth a little bit until you learn exactly at what point it's necessary. But then you've got to feel it to make sure that it's flush. This one is not, so I'm going to try forcing it. Sometimes you can get them flush with your hands, not always though. And you've got to do more bending with the pliers. If you find it's flush on one side but not on the other, that's probably a little thing that's sticking out. And that can be fixed with a file. You don't usually get this, but I seem to have gotten it on my first one here. So what you do is just file the side that's not quite getting flush. It doesn't have to be much, just enough so that it won't do any scratching on a person. Sometimes you need to go a little bit diagonal, like this, right on that joint. But once it's all right, you can force it a little more until it's really lined up. You can set that down. You need to make 4 of these at a time. I made 4 groups of 4 of these really nice ones that line up really well. So that's 16 of them. The next step is to take one of the ones that has not had anything done to it yet, and to open it up just like you would one of the first ones that we made, only don't let go of it with one of the pliers. Hold on to it. Grab one of the groups of 4 and drop them all onto the thing. I dropped one, so I'll put it back on there. So now there's 4 on there. Then close it up just like you would the second one that we made. Get it to line up nicely, and it should be okay. Once it lines up nicely, it should be a single link with 4 attached to it. This is why this is called a 4-in-1 pattern. You have 4 links attached to every one. There's also such thing as 6-in-1 and 8-in-1. I have no idea how to make those. I imagine it's many times more complicated, and I will show you why it gets so complicated when you start adding links here in a second. So we're going to put another 4 onto here. That's now 4 of these things. So this is what I measure a chainmail pattern in. So measuring it by every individual link would be incredibly difficult. So measuring it by these things makes it a lot easier. So you can say that, for example, on my whole suit, the sleeve has 12 of these, all in diameter. Not diameter, sorry, circumference. and that makes it a whole lot easier to replicate. Anyways, the next step is to lay these out like this, to where they're flat, so that the outer ones are pointing towards you and the middle one is pointing away. And you want to lay out another one right along the top the same way, like that. The next step is to overlap the side ones so that they're all overlapping the same way that they should. Then you're going to take the ones that you opened up like this, and you're going to start on the top left link at this overlap point. You're going to go in, and then you're going to go underneath the bottom left one. Then you're going to go up. You're going to stay underneath, and you're going to come from underneath the bottom right one, sorry. Then you're going to move up out of the top right one. It's kind of hard to explain, you just have to see it and try it for yourself to really understand it. Then you're going to clamp onto it and close it up like you would before. And then it's flush, so that's good. Then we're going to lay it out like that. And that is now 2 of them attached. We now need to attach the other 2. So what we're going to do is grab this one, do it the same way, the middle one pointing away from us and the side ones pointing towards us. Grab one of these. Maybe you can see it better on this one. Here, I'll zoom it in so you can see even better. Anyways, here we go. Top left, go into the bottom left, bottom right, go up into the top right, like that. This takes some practice. It took me 45 minutes to connect my first 4 of these little 5-link pieces. So what I'm doing right here in front of you took me 45 minutes the first time I tried it, because I did not know what I was doing. Now we need to connect the other one. So that's same way as before, along the top. Top left, bottom right, top right. Depending on how you open these up, it might be backwards if you open them up the other way. You want to be careful not to pick this up because you can get these distorted weirdly. You want to wait till you have at least 4 of them connected. Here, let me move this up so you can see better. We'll now do the exact same thing as before, only we're now connecting on the corners, but it should be the same process. There we go. If making this takes you less than 45 minutes, then you're doing better than I ever did when I first started. So chainmail is just doing this and repeating it over and over and over until you have a much bigger piece. And I could do another video if you like as to where you could make a whole suit out of this that you could wear. But this is the basic premise, and it's just expanding that into bigger and bigger sections. And that's about it.